And we are live on the SideQuest Live for RE3HAB, as we say. E3 is over.
Do
I just
we?
got with that.
Is that what we
Yep.
say?
That is
Never
what
heard it
I
before.
say. Oh, goodness. On this beautiful Father's Day in the United of the States of the Americas, I am one of your wonderful hosts. Hope I'm wonderful. Dolly Domofsky. Joining me, as usual, the wonderful JJ Holder.
Yeah, it is.
There you go. You're like, yeah. He's holding me at gunpoint. And then this lovely gentleman right there, ZachQuest.
What's up?
Yeah, just a nice, simple what's up. I like that. And eventually we'll get Taylor, who'll probably pop in. Oops. What am I doing here? There, in that direction somewhere, he'll show up. So,
my camera.
there you go. Where'd you for your camera? Oh, it's gonna be one of those days. Taylor is enacting his revenge on you for me speaking ill of him. He has somehow compromised your camera over there.
Yeah.
If you need to shut off and shut back down or jump back.
It hates this USB port. I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha. Well,
That's an excuse.
Yeah. Thank
and
you.
It always wants to revert back to my face rig setup. So
oh, jeez.
Y'all almost got a VTuber in here for a second.
That would have been awesome. We got to get Fox McCloud, right? Or is it the?
I can't remember if it was Fox or if it was Wolf. I can't remember.
Maybe it was Wolf
or Andros. Maybe even Andros. Andros makes a little too much sense for a.
Mm-hmm. Who knows? Well, anyways, gents, it's so good to have you here on this evening. I'm sure we'll have other folks filtering in here and there as well. It's been a week and a half, I guess. It's a crazy week and a half of gaming news, and a whole bunch of stuff has been happening. And we're gonna just start diving right into it. We start with the news first, and then we'll go into what we've been playing. And we'll try to keep this to a nice, modest 1 hour or less if we can.
Zach is not going to let this happen.
Zach's not going to let that. Zach's got his dissertation written about the Konami stuff. But before we get to that, E3 happened, and there was a bunch of stuff that was announced and a lot of things. I mean, you can hop on over to sidequesting.com. We've listed a bunch of stuff. We're actually putting together the best of E3 lists, just waiting on really the three of us are the only ones that have submitted anything. we could go through our lists and then I could post the finale afterwards. But yeah, we're just waiting on a couple more folks. But there was a lot. What do you guys think overall in general? What do you guys think of the all digital E3?
I didn't think much of it at all. Like it just kind of came and went, and I was like, all right, well, that was that this year. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't like there was a lot of, but it was. I mean, there were plenty of things that were talked about that I enjoyed, but most of the stuff was things that they could have just announced randomly.
Yeah.
Like IGN could have posted or Game Informer cover, and I would have felt the same way about the announcement. So.
I think it's like the highs were like really high and the lows were really low.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of like the feeling. But I don't know, it was a weird E3 because a lot of the cool things that were shown off weren't like big titles or like these like small indie games that like popped up, like the Advance Wars thing, which is like small, and then the what is it? Metal Slug thing that came up, like that was huge. Like there's just some like small announcements that were actually pretty large, and then all the big stuff was basically stuff that we already knew about. There wasn't anything like surprising, like oh my gosh, whoa. So but I think on average it was good though.
Yeah, like the biggest announcement was like Metroid, like because that was something that nobody like. Metroid Dread has been that thing that's sort of been looming for 19 years. Like because like back when the DS launched was when there was always the rumors of a sequel to Fusion. So and with that name, so that was like because even things like the I'm bad with remembering names. What the hell's the fucking uh, uh, space game that we all love and cared so much about?
Starfield.
Starfield, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's Starfield. We knew something was going to happen at some point in the near future with Starfield, or Elden Ring. Finally seeing something about Elden Ring was like, yeah, okay. But we knew Elden Ring. Like, these are names that we had and we knew if it wasn't this time, it was going to be sometime very in the short, immediate future. So,
right.
And without having Sony there, to always have like some, because they always have some weird thing in their back pocket, say for a couple of years, but I don't know.
Yeah, they have a guy playing a flute on stage.
That was the weird. The one where they had 3 games at E3, and that was
the year that Sam and I couldn't get into the Sony press conference. We got turned away at the door, and which happened to the majority of folks. Hey, it's Taylor Bliss.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, and happy Father's Day, Taylor.
Oh, thanks, man.
And
happy Father's Day to SideQuest.
Yes, happy Father's Day to SideQuest. Father of the pups. No, the we're doing an E3 kind of overall thoughts and sentiments and stuff. And no, I was gonna chime in. That was we're talking about the last PlayStation E3 event. That was the one that Sam and we got to the front door there, or the entrance. It was a huge line of people, and then they came out and said, "Listen, we've capped this already. Don't even bother. Just go somewhere else and watch it or stream it." And so we went to one of the they had a theater right by the convention center. So we went to the theater.
I remember that.
We watched it there, and that was way better than what was actually happening at the PlayStation conference.
What was the third game at that conference? Because I know it was
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah,
no, Resident Evil, right? Was it Resident Evil 2?
No,
because I remember it was Tsushima, Last of Us, and
Kingdom Hearts 3. They showed a Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer with a bunch of text popping up on screen, and then they had that guy play the flute for an hour.
Tsushima,
yeah,
and then they ended on.
Which year was the last one that they were there?
2017.
Yeah, that's 17, I think. Yeah, they haven't shown up since.
Taylor, what were your overall thoughts about E3?
My overall thought was a combination of why do we still have E3, and at the same time, how are these many people bad at doing not E3? Because you look at what Microsoft and Nintendo can do with the slots, and you're like, okay, they don't need E3. Like, literally, Nintendo and Microsoft could be like, hey, we're doing June Game Fest, right? And you're like, okay, yes, fucking sweet. I love June Game Fest. And then you look at every other publisher that did any sort of press conference, and you're just like, why are they doing this? Because they were all poop. Yeah. They were all bad. Every single one of them.
Why did Square spend the amount of money and resources to put together an event when they had absolutely jack shit to really show off outside of
even worse than that, why did Bandai Namco literally announcing Elden Ring, like, literally, I mean, listen, you don't hold the golden goose of announcements. I mean, listen, as much as I like Jeff Keighley and what he did with his announcements, why would you give it to Jeff Keighley for Summer Games Fest, and then you have an actual slated press conference and you don't even show Elden Ring?
Yeah.
It's completely bonkers. Absolutely unintelligible. It just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. I'm completely with you guys to an extent. I think the Nintendo and Microsoft, I think, were awesome. I mean, they have this down. They figured it out. Oh, yeah. They know what they're doing with these press conferences, these streams. Nintendo has figured out the direct formula, and they know exactly, like, they've workshopped this so that every Nintendo Direct is great.
Every Direct is exactly the same, but with different shit plopped into it.
Starts with a Smash Brothers reveal that you weren't expecting, and ends with, like, the big game that everybody freaking wanted.
And this is what's mesmerizing about what Nintendo does, is that at the same time of it feeling like, oh yeah, well, I mean, we've seen a Nintendo Direct before. We know exactly what it's going to be. And then they drop, and then all of a sudden it's Metroid, a game that we, with a game that we thought that was never going to exist. And you're like, oh fuck, they did it. It's just like, and it's just like, it just happens. You're like, I mean, because like realistically, if anybody thought a Metroid announcement was going to happen, it was going to be something about Metroid 4 or Metroid Prime 4, whether it was a new teaser or first look or something like that.
An updated logo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anything. And then you're like, no, it's Metroid Dread. And you're like, okay.
Well, okay, yeah.
It was wild seeing the reaction of folks within the industry. Like people who are typically like insiders had no idea. I saw a stream of like, what? Huh? What? What the fuck? What? I mean, even like our good friend Wario64. Hi, Wario. Thanks for all the deals. He had no idea.
Thanks for always checking out the show every week.
Thanks for always checking out the show every week. But
there was some guy who said that he broke the story about the game like coming out like 19 years ago or something. Like he said, I remember when I was first got into the games industry and I broke this game coming out, and now it's finally here. Like,
sorry, dude.
In 2002.
Yeah. I think so yeah, Microsoft and Nintendo know what they're doing, and their games are big enough where you don't need a lot of hands-on time with Microsoft and Nintendo stuff for the bigger games, because the pedigree of those companies, right? Maybe you do want to get hands-on with like the Advance War stuff because it is so different, but Nintendo does do a good job of their kind of Treehouse Live. They did a 3-hour. It was actually closer to 4 hour. That live stream. Yeah. That was great. I watched everything in that because I thought, okay, I can understand what the games are doing.
I mean, here's the thing: is it like what people want to see on main stage of E3 is a collection of trailers. It's always been that way.
Yeah,
we like Nintendo knows it, so they do 40 or 1 hour, 40 minutes plus filler of trailers. And then they do the Treehouse for like 3 hours. And then everybody else was like, okay, I have 1 hour, so I'll do 8 minutes of trailers and 42 minutes of filler. And that just isn't good. I mean, that's
how many more years in a row do people have to make fun of the fake stage banter while people play a co-op game together until they figure it out that nobody wants?
Ubisoft, dude.
Yeah.
And this is where I think the E3 actually is like an in-person E3 is actually worth it, or at least the format is because of the hands-on, the previews, because that stuff to me really is, and none of the big guys did anything like that. You did have some smaller companies show some of their stuff through, like they use like Parsec, which is like a streaming service, and some other services too, where they let more personalized one-on-one, and even through that really bad E3 app, you could kind of schedule some one-on-one.
It was a good app, Dally.
Yeah. Oh god. Okay. And it was some but so some of the smaller, a few of the smaller companies did it, but the majority didn't. Sega, you had no idea what Sega stuff was. You had no idea what Bandai Namco. Unless you actually get hands-on, or somebody gets hands-on with this stuff to play it and tell you how it's working, because that stuff is actually valuable not only to the end consumer, to the publishers and developers too, because they're gonna see
they need the feedback.
They need that feedback. The preview goes up and they say, "Oh crap! Everybody on the show floor was reacting to this in completely opposite of what we intended," and you can't necessarily do that with community managers looking, sifting through a bajillion Twitter, tweets and stuff. So I think that's where the hands-on stuff, they needed to get that. E3 needed to get that figured out, and they didn't. That's why I do hope that E3 turns in the physical form in some fashion. Like, still do the press conferences. By the way, you can do the press conferences all in one day. Don't spread them out every single day. Just do like, hey, here's your slot for today. You got 15 minutes to showcase your game. Just do a few quick trailers. The rest of the week is your playthrough time. I mean, that tends to work out.
The biggest thing is that like there's a delineation between publishers and between what is essentially the big the console manufacturers who are basically conglomerations of publishers of Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, right? They're just different because you have a curated list of many publishers, and upwards of dozens for certain companies, versus independent or individual publishers. So it's just like, hey, don't treat them the same. Like, why should one publisher have the same allotted amount of time as a conglomerate of publishers? It's just kind of weird. So it's like, hey, 1 hour of Microsoft. Well, why do we have to watch the same games multiple times? It's just like, hey, every publisher gets 15 minutes, and then Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo get 1 hour each. It's not weird, because they're not. You're not comparing apples to apples here. You're comparing apples to oranges. So, it makes sense for time, and it makes sense. It just makes sense overall. I mean, let's everybody save time, and God, let's get fucking at the least 2 days. Saturday and Sunday only. It does not need to be more than that.
It's always funny when you get like on the Microsoft stage. Here's the new Far Cry trailer, and then the Ubisoft one rolls around, and it's like, same trailer, huh? Cool.
I think this is why Keighley's stuff is so important, because you can get all these publishers just to put their games in there, and that's fine. Like, because they'll have like 1 or 2 games, mostly one, and they'll show it off and it's good. Yeah. But like, and then you can have Steam have their thing that they're doing now, the PC gaming show having their own thing. But like, that's really it. Then you have Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, and that's really all you need for E3 at least. I mean, I would even argue that the PC show isn't even like, it shouldn't even be there, because E3 mostly is for consoles. So it's just like, why even? But yeah, it's publishers having their own shows, like Bandai showing off their next Dark Trilogy game or whatever for an hour is not good. So.
Yeah, I think if we get previews and get hands-on time with these games, Steam Next Fest is great because it does a little bit of that. I think gets you a lot of the stuff that's coming to PC and some of the console stuff. But if we don't have some sort of hands-on and previews, we get a lot of Balan Wonderlands and Wonderwood, because that game had 0 hands-on and previews up until review time. There were very minimal and that would have been something that Square Enix showed at E3 last year, and
they had to put out after the demo for Balan came out, they had to put out it's too late to change a lot of the stuff that you complained about. But we can change some of it, but after the fact. Cool.
And that's why, again, it's beneficial to have those hands on. And I do love E3, and I miss the old E3. I just wish this E3 was organized a little better. I will say this, for Nintendo and Microsoft, again, because they have this thing figured out, they don't need it. Was this E3 and Games Fest? Publishers love Game Fest because you don't need to talk about hands-on or previews. Just show a flashy trailer, and you're like, pre-order start now. I mean, pre-orders they were getting bajillions of pre-orders for Elden Ring, and the game looked cool, but maybe it doesn't play very well because nobody's had hands on it, and nobody really will until like December.
You guys heard about world premieres?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just saying.
That's that's the advantage that Keighley's show has, is that it's produced. It's a TV show.
Yeah.
Yep.
He has a studio team. He has groups of people. So it's a streamlined process that is designed to flow like an actual fucking television program. And with very little, Square goes out there with their Guardians of the Galaxy games, throws out a good trailer, and then spends the next 45 minutes showing a relatively mundane third-person action game, which you don't need to show that much stage time for a third-person action game in the slightest. But they did, because they have no sense of like production for like a show.
So after watching people play this new Final fantasy game, which I still am in first to the game.
Wow,
the
I
way,
played
the
we
way
talking
the,
about Origins.
yeah, the
Yeah.
way the game
Yeah.
plays looks fun. Like it looks like it's like
Right.
an actual like fun system. They should have done the Guardians thing with that game, and
Yeah.
the press from that game would have been a lot more positive.
So Zach and I did a little bit of a back and forth in Discord chat on this one, but just like the extended gameplay trailer, because there is some gameplay out there about this compared to what they showed, and it's just like, oh, like all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is a Team Ninja game. It has like actual combat that looks competent and good compared to 4 minutes of just distilled I'm here to kill chaos, which is literally the only thing that everybody got out of the trailer. And it's just odd. And whether it was a choice to cut it that way in on the Japanese side, and then they were like, oh shit, we have to now translate this to English, and we just have 4 minutes of chaos and they don't know what to do with it now.
No, it's actually a direct translation. I went and checked. It's the same thing.
I have
but that's what I'm worried about, is the direct translation instead of, is it a direct translation, or is it a, did a localization team translate it that way? Yeah. And what was the time for, like, there's a lot of questions that we could ask on this one, but how far along is the game? Did they cut the trailer, then translate it, or was it already translated and then cut? Because the difference between those two is really big, and we don't know the answer to it. I'm not going to find out personally, so I get to just pretend like it's up in the air. Sure, it could already be fully localized, and then they just cut it. I'm gonna guess no, personally, because we have no idea when that game is coming out. They didn't announce when it's coming out, right?
No, it's coming out 2022.
Sometime
there's a
That's
date.
plenty of time to localize to me.
Hold on.
I have to assume that Square kind of they leaned too heavy into thought that they're going to play this trailer and then everyone's going to immediately go play the demo. That's why there wasn't any of that on there, because it launched with the demo. So it was their way of doing the hands-on time.
It's just a little weird, out of touch that like 4 minutes of I want to kill chaos is like, yes, I want to play this demo. Absolutely. It's just weird. All the people that play video games are like super young. What's going on? Like, they don't care about Final Fantasy anymore. Like, in terms of, they don't care about the originations of Final Fantasy, the early stuff, which is what this has been. Like, they don't care. It doesn't matter.
The kids need to know where the crystals came from.
For sure, which is why make it more interesting than this. Yeah. It's just that like all that does is make me question about why they made it so boring.
I think it would have been better to just to launch with an internet trailer saying demo now available, and people would have been way more into it, other than having it be one of the 3 things they showed at their.
It really didn't help that it leaked like 2 weeks prior, and it was like, this is an origin story to Final Fantasy 1. Like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so cool. It's going to be like amazing, bright and colorful, like Souls-like game. Like, it's going to be cool to like go back and see all the old designs and armor and stuff, and it's like,
no.
Look
at your short-sleeved bro friend, and now play as him. Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. The trailer was cut weird. Everything was weird about it. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, it looks like it's an isekai. Like he's found.
It is an isekai.
Yeah, it is.
Like, canonically, right?
That's what the Japanese like character bios say, is that they're from our world. They get transported into.
So that explains.
Yeah,
which is why he's like, yo, I'm here to kill chaos because I got isekai here. I'm in this world to kill chaos.
His other 2 friends are leaning into the weird world, but he's like, no, I'm just here for one purpose only.
Honestly, like, it made me like understand a little bit more. It's like, oh, they're like, yo, I'm a warrior of light. You're like, yeah, okay, yeah, you got transported into this world, so you're a world of light. Treating it jovially, I guess, to kill chaos. There's Garland. I don't know. But it's just so weird. It's just thinking about it right now. It's just like so bizarre. But anyway, if the gameplay looks good, I'm actually kind of interested. We'll see though. I don't know.
I played that.
It's
demo.
coming to
It's
PC
fun as
too.
hell.
At some point,
Sadly,
so.
sadly, that's still my takeaway is that like, I'm just looking for like, where's the gameplay? I want to see it being played. Is the demo only on PS5?
It's only on PS5.
Yeah.
PS5,
I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't play that shit.
E3.
That's it.
That's it. That's what you get for E3. It shows real shitty on a trailer, and then people play it, and they're like, "Actually, this is
I like
This
it
is
when,
good. This is good.
it's not horrible.
Yeah.
I can deal with
look
it."
forward to the Devolver shit that they do.
Yes,
Because
yeah.
they have too much fun with it. They're just out there having some fun and just.
Yeah.
This event, by the way, worked. This digital E3 worked to Devolver's favor because
Oh, yeah.
they were right behind. Like when you see the final ratings or reviews, I guess, or number of views for the different press conferences, Nintendo blew everybody out of the water.
Yeah.
Followed by Microsoft, and then you have I think it was Ubisoft, and then
Square.
and then Square Enix, and like 100,000 less than Square Enix. Like Square Enix is massive. 100,000 less than Square Enix is Devolver.
Yeah.
They're right there, which is like holy
That's
shit.
so-
I mean, that's
that's
fantastic
so-
for them.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but like, it's also for me. This is humbling to me because like, I don't know, like what rumor mill around. What was Square Enix going to show?
Yeah.
Going into it,
Final
going
Fantasy
into
Origin.
it, we knew they were going to show Origins because it leaked 2 weeks ago. But before
Right.
that, there was very little. Like it's hard to know
Yeah.
too because Square Enix has sort of like gobbled up some people and
And then-
stuff in recent
And on top
times.
of that, I mean, I don't know. Like, I get Ubisoft because of Far Cry 6, which I don't know. It's
Dude,
just,
the audacity of those people. They were showing Beyond Good and Evil 2 gameplay before the press conference started, and then they go and it's like Far Cry. I was like, oh my gosh, dude.
and
like-
so a lot of my stuff. So I was gone this past weekend, so I didn't really catch most of it live. Which you would think that I would have a higher opinion because there's no live video hitchness to it.
Yeah.
But dude, the Ubi conference was not great.
No, it's terrible.
Far Cry 6 did not look very good.
No.
The Far Cry that I spent the most time with was Far Cry 4 and then Far Cry Blood Dragon. And I'm like, when are we stepping up to
Yeah.
You get to play both those games again. There are characters from those
Oh, do they? Oh my god.
in Far Cry.
They're
6.
bringing back all of the main villains for like
Yeah.
their little
You
weird
could play as
like,
well.
side stuff. Yeah.
But,
I think
yeah.
I think Far Cry 6 looks interesting because one, I haven't played any of the games since 3, but
Same.
I'm more interested in being able to play as like an actual character, like because those games
No.
usually have like faceless characters. This is like an actual like character you play as, and she exists in the world. Like she has a reason to be doing what she wants to do. So
That
I'm
was the
gonna
case
check
with
it
Far-
out.
That was kind of the case with
With
Far Cry
4.
4.
Yeah, but it's just
I
not
didn't-
as much because there wasn't
Yeah.
any like cutscenes with like him talking and stuff. It's more like
Right. I didn't
I'll
play
say
any
this.
5 though.
I played a lot.
I'm going to
Those,
say this about E3. So I had a garage sale this past week, as I wasn't like doing a lot of posting and crap and kind of staying out of the Discord for a little bit. I was making that money, not a lot of it, but I sold a bunch of video games that I had, just old PS4 games and Xbox One games, like Disney's Fantasia. Somebody out there wanted it. I sold it.
Nice.
Anyway, some folks came in, and one of the conversations on Friday was like, "Hey, wow, you have all these great games, and man, how do you get time? How do you play all these games?" I'm like, "Well, I get stuff for not only the ones that I buy, but I also have stuff for review. That's why some of these are unopened, because I was never able to get to the ones that I bought until they show up on PlayStation Plus. So because I've been working on review games, and so I bought like, I don't know, whatever, World War WW2, Call of Duty WW2, and I thought I never got a chance to play it because they ended up sending me a review code for it, and then like right when I finished the review of the game, I had already bought this version, so I had to sell the version that I had. I couldn't return it to the store or anything, and so they're like, "Oh my god, you get to review stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of fun." What do you think of E3? That was like their question to me. I'm like, well, I mean, it was all digital. I'm like, well, what did you think? They're like, oh, there were so many cool things, because I want to pick their brain. So, and we had like this 15-minute conversation about E3. And this kid was probably like maybe 19, 20. To them, it still mattered. To them, he was like, oh yeah, and he and his buddy were there. Oh, so cool. Did you see the new Far Cry trailer? And I saw this cool new Final Fantasy thing, and I can't wait to try the demo. I haven't had a chance. Literally all the stuff we're saying here. Forza looks awesome, blah, blah, blah. Nintendo, Metroid Dread. Oh my God, we were all high-fiving. And they were telling me, they had got together at a buddy's house over the weekend, and they were watching the Microsoft press conference. And that reminded me, a good point. People still take the week of E3 off at home to just sit and watch gaming coverage. Like that was up until last year with the pandemic stuff, but people started doing that again this year. I kind of did it, but only because I was setting up for my garage sale. But I was off and I was watching E3 in the background, and people still value it. And so, but it's got to be organized better. Like everything you guys are saying is going on.
Back in the day when you could just put like G4 on and it was just like 24 hours a
awesome.
day, you could turn your head to the TV and see the gameplay for a game that you've never even heard of or whatever. And it was just like
I also think a lot of it is just we're so ingrained in this, like it's just like our lives. Like we wake up, we see, oh, there's this new game coming out. There's this game coming out. Okay, cool. But to most people, they don't pay attention, and and where they get their news is E3. Like, oh, let's see what games are going to be out. Like, it's just like a completely different like view.
This the scale of viewership and the scale of news coverage, or the scale of release of information on E3 is just completely outpaces, right? Because E3 hits major news coverage compared to specific niche sites and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. Again, I just that just like doubles me down on some of the publisher stuff. Because like, again, I hate to just completely harp on Bandai Namco, but you have Elden Ring. What are you doing? You show one game on a press conference. I'll never get.
We didn't even mention Capcom. Like they
Capcom also completely flopped.
Oh my God!
That we've already seen like 4 times. And they're like, hey, let's watch a visual novel gameplay. Like.
It was like, here's the reminder that these games are coming out.
Well, yeah, I mean, you lead off with a game that's already a hit, but realistically, the majority of the popularity has already peaked, right?
But by the way, it's like, hey, guess what? We're announcing crossovers for Monster Hunter Rise. The very first crossover we're having is with the other Monster Hunter game.
They already announced it.
It's already.
I know.
Yeah.
A single black and white slide for Resident Evil DLC.
I think the issue is that was a pre-recorded thing, so Capcom probably didn't have a choice of where their slot was. So
irrelevant.
So
in my opinion.
But I mean, to them, it's like, okay, we're going to talk about our stuff, cool. But then it's like then like the slot is like, hey, let's put them on Sunday night, like at the very end.
Yeah, but like what different? Like what? Okay, so what? It's Saturday first thing in the morning. It's still bad.
Yeah, but it's still new. It's still new info and stuff that we've heard.
Is it
four times? Yeah.
Is it really though? What part of that information would have been new if it came out on Saturday?
The crossover stuff I think would have at least been new.
I don't think so. I'm almost positive that's not new. I'm almost positive that they had already announced the crossover stuff. Don't quote me.
Maybe the Street Fighter 5 15 minute.
Oh wow, the Street Fighter 5. When did Street Fighter 5 come out? I'm sorry that I'm major. I'm major negative Nancy right now, but just like a lot of E3 was super big bummer to me.
You may be negative Nancy, but you are also the most correct in the predictions, and you were actually spot on. Looking at the predictions right now. So SideQuesting did our E3 predictions. Here, let me share the screen.
Street Fighter 5 came out 5 years ago.
I know, exactly. And they have a whole thing like,
you're 5.5
fighting game community. It was like, dude, this has been around for 30 years. Like,
look at that right here.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift Bliss is his
true.
predictions.
New Zelda game.
You said gameplay footage of a new Zelda game, the Zelda Game & Watch. Because you said it could even
we got Zelda Game & Watch, but we also got new trailer for Breath of the Wild 2. So double inclusive.
Yeah.
We got a lot of Microsoft talk about Game Pass.
We did.
Holy shit.
And 2 sizzle reels was exactly correct.
Yes.
Starfield trailer? We definitely didn't get extended gameplay. Unsurprising.
Nothing here.
I'm still surprised that Sony did not make a peep.
I think they still will. This is, you said during the next week and a half, so you have until the end of this coming week.
That ain't happening. It's not happening.
Their peep was that post about their indie horror game coming out. That's their little.
There you
peep.
go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I will say. I mean, the talk that was just coming out about. I'm not gonna. Zach, I'm gonna let you talk about it. I need you to declare your conspiracy theories at some point, but I'm not gonna break into it on
that
E3
for the
talk.
news segment.
Exactly. I'm gonna leave it. I'm leaving it. I'm officially leaving it. Anyway, Street Fighter 5 came out 5.5 years ago.
Yeah. I got
James Bond game.
You got 0.
Got 0.
Nothing.
I have the chance at this last one.
JJ, you instead went for 5 wild predictions. It's a bold strategy.
Bold strategy. I thought I could maybe.
Dude,
Sam had nothing. However, kind of the reboot game.
Advanced Wars, yeah.
Maybe Advanced
Can we talk about how fucking disappointing it is that Advanced Wars got Way Forward to be the developer of that, but they're going with some sort of like weird plastic aesthetic of it?
Sure.
Again, Zach and I briefly discussed this, but you get Way Forward, which is at the precipice of quality pixel art transition, in terms of modern pixel art games. And you're like, make this game that was a critical hit and extremely stylistic and make it as boring as possible. Yep. And that's Advanced Wars on the Switch.
These are the guys that took that shitty Mummy movie and made a phenomenal video game out of it.
It was so good. Zach, the complete opposite of this. You said it.
I know.
It's like the overest world possible.
Oh my god!
Dude, I still think that you might be able to play Zelda though in the game.
I think that your other wild prediction is actually still true, but I'm just waiting for the announcement.
Guardians of the Galaxy. I got that one. That one.
Mr. Insider over here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's easy when I use my insider information, Dally.
Nothing on this. I'm surprised we got nothing on the NetherRealm game. So here's my and then apparently there's still, but here's my theory, and that is, I'm gonna close out of the screen here. Okay. My theory is that there's still gonna be a Sony event, and we'll see the NetherRealm stuff there, and we'll see the Spider-Man in Marvel's Avengers game at that
Well, NetherRealm is what? Owned by WB Interactive, right?
And they just did Back for Blood, that's how they focused on. Yeah.
So, they're still wrapped up in the acquisition, right?
Mm.
With the transition from AT&T?
Warner Brothers,
where they split the entertainment section of it.
Right. So, I mean, I have a feeling that there's some weird stuff going on there with change of hands and decision making on PR releases. That's my. This is literally complete guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing that might be why Boone is being really kind of secretly vocal on Twitter more so than usual right now, because he wants to keep it out there because things are getting quiet now. But they are ready to show something off, but can't.
I think a bunch of this stuff we would have seen at E3.
If a real E3 was here, we would have seen whatever the fuck. Because
next year, everybody.
Because that's the thing is they've already said without saying that the Injustice 3 is like here. Like they've already teased it. So it's announced basically. I can't imagine it being not that far along. It's Injustice 3.
Maybe that'll earn me a point again.
Yeah.
On the, hey,
what's the window? When does the point disappear?
End of this week, right? End of this week with the Sony stuff. If Taylor gets that point with the Sony stuff, and they announce the NetherRealm game,
are we saying that? Are we saying that the 25th is the last day?
Is that Friday the 25th?
That's 25 to the 25th. Okay,
let's do it. Let's do it. Fingers crossed. Hey, let's move on from E3. I want to get into some crazy
Never.
conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Zach.
Please.
Zach, please
Zach,
explain this.
pull up the bulletin board.
Yeah,
Okay.
Zach, the Q and Quest
Show
stands for
me
QAnon.
the pins on the map.
Yeah, explain to us who Pepe Silvia is.
Okay, dude. So,
Buckle up.
last week, Sony had this PlayStation blog post, some random game that's like made by a dude named Hassan Karaman, which is like who is some Turkish guy from some studio that no one's ever heard of. But the Twitter page for that studio is followed by Jeff Keighley. Keep that in mind. So people are like, okay, this is weird. What's going on? Then Kojima liked a tweet from Junji Ito, and it's like, okay. And then Jeff Keighley starts liking tweets from this random studio. It's like, okay, this is weird. Then people start digging. And people find.
I love conspiracies based on tweet likes. By the way, I'm just want to make sure that was on there.
People start digging, and it gets weird. So, Silent Hills was canceled on the 27th. The creator of Abandon, which is a game I just mentioned, has 27 connections on his LinkedIn page. His 27th trophy on PlayStation Network is "You Knew, Didn't You?" Kojima's name translated into Turkish is Karaman also. So it's like, whoa. So this is either some Kojima thing or just some indie studio that is somehow manipulating people at this huge level. But then no, I'm not done, JJ.
No, it's not done.
You have to keep in mind that this is exactly what they did with Phantom Pain. So
no, it's the exact same thing. Yeah. So then Silent Hill has some new stuff come out, which is weird. No one Konami hates Silent Hill. And
Konami hates video games that are not gambling.
They tweet out a picture that has the Silent Hill logo in it, and it's off-centered. But someone photoshops it and adds an S to the end, so it says Silent Hills, and it's perfectly centered. So that's also another thing. It's just like crazy. And then the Hassan Karman guy also has a YouTube channel, and his name is 2727 on there. And then he also has a PlayStation profile as well, and he has a game in there called Siren Head, which no one's ever heard of. SH, and one of the trophies in there.
Is he using the art from the guy who actually does the original Siren Head stuff?
I don't. Because there was a game that he Trevor went after hard.
He officially sanctioned again because Siren Head, for those who don't know. It's a Siren Head was made
Swamp Ghost. He is an artist, horror artist.
I follow him on Twitter. Yeah.
He created Siren Head. Thank you. This is the Pepe Silvia. Yeah. So, and there's been game stuff dealing with that. And he has recently gotten involved into video games.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was an easy pickup for indie game stuff because it has a lot of this. Yeah, a lot of similar aesthetics to Slender Man, right? Yeah. Mysterious cryptoid or cryptozo, or I forget what the exact wording is that people use for it.
We should talk about Siren Head on our podcast now.
I would do a cryptozoologist podcast. Let's go.
I just wanted to say the logo for this game looks really shitty, and it's in black and red, so it's paying homage to Silent Hill. So it's very alike to what he did with Phantom Pain, where he pretended to be a white guy for a year, which is crazy.
Yeah. Did an interview with his head all wrapped up in bandages.
Dude, and he wore they made
I don't know about this. I'm learning.
Okay, so there was at the Game Awards, the first Game Awards, I think there is a new studio that Keighley said, hey, there's this new studio called Moby Dick Games, and they're making this amazing game. And they showed a trailer for Metal Gear Solid 5, but nobody knew.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is a random studio. And then Kojima kept doing interviews as this white guy wearing like, he was wearing eye contacts and he had his head wrapped and everything. And he would just talk, be like, yeah, we're making this game, blah, blah, blah. And it was Kojima in disguise for like a year doing press for this game.
Because keep in mind that we already knew about Ground Zeroes. And this was like this independent secondary thing that we didn't know it was just called The Phantom Pain. And all of the gameplay footage was the opening hospital scene. Of the game that people figured it out pretty quick though, because they could find the hidden Metal Gear Solid in the Phantom Pain logo because of the way they could,
well, and then it was also like there's an Italian doctor who was like researching how to transplant heads. And it's like a real thing that happened, like a real surgery that happened that this guy created, and that guy's in the game as well. Yeah, about transplanting. Like it's like what is happening? Like how did he get this?
Chest. Yeah,
like it's crazy, dude. And that's why I'm really convinced that it's either he absorbed some smaller studio and is doing this as like some like 4D chess move for PR for this game, or it's literally him doing his next like game. Yeah. So
do you know how I would lose my fucking mind at a Junji Ito like Silent Hill game?
Dude.
It's true. Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
We don't talk about that enough. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. I'll never forget watching it was like a PAX conference. It was like a PAX conference where Kojima revealed he was this white guy in disguise too. He just like walked up on stage, like he said like I'm back. I think he's like I'm back, or like are you like or do you like it? He said something, and it's just dude, I love him, but yeah,
it's so fucking wild.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks, Miro. There you go. We figured it out.
All right,
that's you, man.
Yeah. Zach, what do you think? Honestly, though, zero out of 100 on a percentage scale that this is actually Silent Hills.
Dude, I'm gonna believe this 100% because I want something.
100%.
Yeah, I want something to look forward to.
But here's the thing: is that like, Kojima's gone, right? He's not there. This is would be a Konami product, right?
Because they're already because they're advertising,
right?
They're advertising Silent Hill.
Hey, no, something happened today. Kojima followed Konami back on Twitter.
No fucking. Are we saying on top of everything else that Konami and Kojima are going to work together on another video game on top of it all? 0%. So. I don't know.
It's not that crazy. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, business is business.
I felt like it was quite a fallout.
Yeah,
I think it was a fallout because it was a fallout because they want to give Kojima his like creative like hold on the game. So now it's like, hey, you guys aren't making shit. Let me make a game for you guys. Like they need him. More than anything.
I agree.
So
then again, you know what? We got an announcement of a Fatal Frame game. So
I mean, granted, it's a Fatal Frame game that already existed, but you know what?
Listen, I don't give a shit. It's not a pachinko machine. Right. So you know what? I'm frankly surprised. Because they dropped the pachinko machine Fatal Frame. Or if it wasn't pachinko, it was a gambling adjacent Fatal Frame game, and you're like, okay, I guess all hope for Fatal Frame making any sort of comeback is forever dead. And then they announced one. So
I have goosebumps thinking about the HD remake of they did I think it's 3 or 4 for Metal Gear Solid, like 2 or 3 that they HD remade cutscenes from that game for pachinko. Yeah. And they look so good, dude. Like I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about the boss fight on the pachinko machine, man. Like it's crazy.
It's so weird that they
there's
won't make. Why won't they make a video game to?
Hopefully they'll make that
don't
Castlevania game.
understand.
Yeah,
They have
Like
one
Castlevania
coming out
collection.
this year.
Castlevania stock has never been higher
Right.
since the 90s, and they still can't cash in on it. Like,
Dude, it doesn't make sense. Why would you not make a video game?
They have a game in early access right now. I forgot what it's
Yeah,
called.
that's true.
But it's a
It's that
Japanese,
old NES
like-
game that they're redoing for.
yeah.
God. No, why? Why?
It actually looks cool, but it's an early access and it's Konami, so I'm like, don't care.
They should bring back the Ultra branding. That's all I should say.
Yeah.
You guys remember Metal Gear Survive?
Yes. Very horribly.
Holy
so.
shit. Anyway.
Konami.
Anyway.
I remember that.
Konami saying we can do this too. See? Uh oh.
Whoopies.
No,
Yeah.
guys can't. Whew. That's
I think that's all
that's
the
a-
news, though.
I think that's all the news. I will
That's
say
true.
one thing: the Xbox has the design lab that they've restarted, which is pretty fucking awesome. So go get
yeah.
yourself some controllers.
I just
'cause,
wish I wish they would just let me make a very expensive Elite controller.
Yeah.
Just fucking let me make an Elite controller with fancy colors.
I saw someone make a GameCube looking controller with
Yeah.
like
Oh,
a
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, Microsoft, I don't know. I thought Microsoft fucking killed it. I mean, I can see
They did.
I can see
Yeah.
why Nintendo got number one because
It's
It's
Nintendo.
Dread.
Be, well,
It's
not
dread.
just that,
It's
but
Breath of
because
the Wild.
you knew exactly what you were going to get, and you knew that there was a high chance of Breath of the Wild 2 because they had already showed a first teaser, and you're like, hey, you know what Nintendo's been doing for the entire duration of the weird COVID break? Releasing these exact type of presentations the whole time. So you're like, oh, you know what I'm going to get from Nintendo? More new information because I've been getting it for like 18 months straight when everybody else hasn't been doing it. But yeah, I thought Microsoft fucking killed it personally.
They did great. Microsoft did great. I'm excited for. I mean, we talked about a lot of our favorites. Hopefully, Taylor will have a couple of his favorites picked out so we can add it to our list. But you know what's interesting? I do believe that I want to take a quick step back on the whole insiders. And remember, there was the Switch Pro is going to be announced before.
Oh,
it
yeah,
Gosh,
released,
dude,
the
shut
development-
up.
Whoo, was there a lot of like whiffs on that kind
A
of
lot of Nintendo Pro whiffs or Switch Pro whiffs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never really expected it. It just seemed like it wasn't. It was never.
Well, I
in the
mean,
bed.
let's
Pretty
be
good to
real.
me.
Nintendo came out pretty early and said, "Hey, we're not announcing any hardware.
Yep.
We have
Yeah.
no information on hardware." And at that point, I was like, "Okay, this is probably accurate because
And then they announced hardware in the Game & Watch Zelda game. So
Hell yeah.
we
Playable
know
clock
we
feature.
know what that comment was directed at, and it was
Yes.
Switch Pro.
Yep.
And the guy that blocked me on Twitter kept saying, "Hey, it's coming."
That's coming.
So
I mean, yes,
We won't
it's
say
coming,
his
but
name.
not now.
Yeah.
That's
No,
a- that's
I will say that Nintendo does not need to put it out this year because with throwing out Hail Mary, like bringing the Game Boy Advance games back, like Metroid
I'm
Dread
telling you, it's
and the
Yo,
it's
two
It's launching with Zelda.
reboot,
It's
yeah.
going to launch with
Yes.
Zelda.
but
Yep.
but by the way, why not put Samus Returns also on Switch?
Who's to say
There's
they
no
are?
reason.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
who say they
Why
won't do
no?
that eventually.
I know that there's no reason why they wouldn't. I'm saying why they haven't. Why not? Why me want it now
I mean,
on
at
Switch?
this point, they probably. I mean, I can't imagine them.
I mean, I don't know. It just seems like an easy
they're being-
an easy win. I
If
just
you're-
like I
If
just
they're
don't.
promoting this as 5,
Yeah.
then
Right.
you're going to have to make 2 and 4 available.
Yeah.
I think.
Yep.
And I think they probably
Yeah.
will.
and they usually do that type of thing.
Yep.
Fusion has it. Fusion, is
Yeah, Fusion's such a
I would-
fucking dope game. By
is
the way,
such a dope fucking
God,
game,
it's so good.
and
I
well, I mean, and also
Tyler, you're gonna tell me that you never played Fusion? Is that what you're about
no,
to
I
say?
played it. No, I
Oh,
played it.
oof.
Yeah.
Whew.
No.
All right,
I played
good.
it.
We're
I
good.
mean, hey, maybe there'll be a Metroid Game & Watch next year.
Shut the fuck up,
Would
Jake.
be surprised. That'd be fucking phenomenal.
We're gonna see
You shut up right now.
We're gonna see them all. There's gonna be a Zelda. There's gonna be a Metroid
Donkey
one.
Kong.
There'll be a Donkey Kong one.
Kid
There'll be a
Icarus.
Kirby one. We're gonna
No,
go
I think we'll get. I actually do think this year we'll get Game Boy Advance and Game Boy games on the Switch. I think that's their next big online for their Switch Online. That's like the easy layup right there. That way you can bring those games over 2 and 4. Maybe not the Samus Returns version, but you'll still get the Game Boy version of 2, and then you'll get Fusion as rolled into that for the Game Boy Advance stuff. And then save the Game Pass, the N64, the GameCube level things for
Switch Pro.
Yeah, and say you can get everything that we've announced and these extra things for Switch Pro. You just I think that seems
when they did the new 3DS and they made it so Super Nintendo games were available on that.
And on top of everything else, we know what Nintendo likes to do, and what they like to do is dedicate an entire presentation to one topic.
Yes.
And so if they're going to announce Switch Pro, it's going to be an entire direct, realistically.
It's gonna be like how they announced the Switch. They're gonna be like, okay, January we're gonna have an event and we're gonna show off all these games, and you can get Zelda in March. Like that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yep, and they'll say all these games will play on your current Switch. They'll just look a lot better and function better on a Switch.
Except for this one game. This one game is only going to work on Pro.
Zelda Breath of the Wild 2.
It's going to be Zelda Breath of the Wild. No, Breath of the Wild 2 is definitely going to work on both.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Switch Pro fixes the frame rate issues of Link's Awakening.
Yeah. I don't think we'll get any more Zelda games this year.
I have a random thought.
They could still drop Wind Waker HD. Throwing that there.
Yeah.
Wind Waker HD could get ported.
What's that?
I think clearly they care about Skyward Sword so much because of its direct tie to Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah.
So like Twilight Princess and Wind Waker don't really have that direct connection to it like that is. So when they drop that, it will probably just be a little like, oh yeah, also this will be available as like, special things.
So I was just thinking, because like usually Zelda cycles are like 6-7 years apart. This would be the fastest Zelda cycle we've had for a main game in a while
since Ocarina into Majora's Mask, right?
Yeah. But I think that would probably be because they already have the game like made from the first game, and they probably can also import things from Skyward Sword for the Sky stuff because that's what they do. So
absolutely. Also, this Nintendo one made me. You know how I always say that they're going to do like a little handheld Pokemon thing to celebrate Pokemon at some point? I am now convinced now that they're just going to do a Pokemon Game & Watch at this point.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I was going to say
I'm okay with it because I'm not going to buy it, so that's fine with me.
I was going to say that the Game Boy Advance games are just going to be Pokemon games.
Just the Game Boy Advance
Pokemon
loaded with
November.
Emerald, Fire Red, Sapphire.
So that's certainly a way for them to sell even more consoles for the folks that haven't picked up a Switch yet. Is to say, hey, all those games you like Dread, you like Advance Wars, and by the way, you can now also get some Game Boy Advance games.
That's how you're going to get Fusion. It's going to be the GBA fucking classic.
And people will flock to the Switch for old games, which will sell it.
What's going to suck is the GBA Classic is going to. I said what's going to suck is the GBA Classic is going to be based off of the original GBA and not the SP. So
So
they won't even give it a backlight either.
I don't want to sound like super down, but like
too late.
True.
The whole show.
Very true. I don't know. I mean, a lot of what the publishers did at E3 really put me down. But like the current trajectory of Pokemon stuff has just felt super myopic to me. Is where it's so many of it is on the where the good releases are hoisted on the back of re-releasing the better, arguably the better Pokemon games, and just keeping it all going. Even stuff like Pokemon Go, which reinvigorated a lot of kind of name value into Pokemon, in my opinion, has fizzled out. That's already gone. And I don't know. It's just like I'm not like super enthusiastic about it anymore. And I used to be.
So you have Pokemon Arceus coming out at the end of January.
Trailer looked like poop.
Just saying. It was really bad.
They didn't show a trailer on the Switch Pro. I think we'll likely get something for the Switch Pro some point in January, and they may even show Arceus with the Switch Pro announcement and say, hey, here's the Switch Pro. Here's what Arceus looks like on the Switch Pro. We won't show you guys any more of the other Switch version
of the other one, which has foreground FPS in single digits.
You'll get Zelda in March when the Switch Pro launches. You'll get Splatoon 3 this year, and you'll get Bayo 3 and
that's not happening.
No. I think it's happening. No. They have to figure out who's developing it first.
Yeah. You'll get a Mario game. I think you'll get a Mario game next. I mean, they're repeating that first year of the Switch, but now they're throwing in. They're letting you know. That's why I don't think we've seen anything.
Do you think they're going to do an Odyssey 2, like how they did?
I think they'll do
Odyssey 2.
Yeah.
Like how they did Galaxy 2.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they do like other Nintendo worlds thrown in there. That would be a blast to have Mario jumping through like
Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling Nintendo's next big Mario thing is going to be an extension of Bowser's Fury.
That was great.
Oh yeah, the open world.
You think
thing.
so?
The open world thing, because it felt like a test.
Right, I have not played it. I haven't played it yet. I have it on my shelf.
It's
so good.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's so good, and it's super different. It really kind of makes it makes classic Mario into something it hasn't been, but while retaining Mario-ness, and it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I have to go. I need to dust that off. All right, deal.
Okay, let's get into what we've actually been playing. I think that's it for the news and for E3 and. Take a breath. Take a breath.
I'm worried because I know.
No, I've only been complaining for 40 minutes. I really need to keep it up.
I'm worried because I know it's been an hour already, and I know I haven't been doing much, but I know Zach's been very, very busy, and I'm scared.
Let's go with us first. Then JJ, have you played anything? What have you played?
Old shit.
That's all right. Tell us.
Dove back into Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Random.
Yeah, I don't know. I started into it and then I got sidetracked with I forget what the fuck I got sidetracked with. And now I'm back in it and I'm like, all right, yeah, this game fucking rules. I know what happened.
I'm eyeing it. It's on sale right now.
I downloaded it because I got the a discounted, like, the E3 trial of Ubisoft Plus or whatever. So I downloaded it on my laptop and I was like, I can really get some game time in.
Sweet.
So,
it's gamer time.
Yeah. and my save from the PS5 version transferred into the PC.
Oh,
version.
That's awesome.
So that was different.
That's
I
cool.
didn't expect that. Yeah. So yeah.
Nobody ever expects that.
Nobody ever expects shit to work from PlayStation.
Yeah. So that was fun. Project Cars 3.
Nice.
I downloaded that. Project Cars.
Why?
I play nothing but racing games in my downtime. It's the one.
Okay.
It's the
no,
one.
That's a completely legitimate reason that I wasn't expecting to get.
It's the one genre that I'm like actually
The
good
palate
at.
cleanser. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can actually go online and like win. And
So
are
you excited for Forza Horizon 5 then?
I am nonstop excited whenever a Forza game is on the horizon. Pun intended.
And he didn't choose that as one of his favorites because he knew I was going to choose it as one of my favorites.
Yes, exactly.
So he said it's like an extra win for him. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be added to the list along with Breath of the Wild 2, so I don't have to pick those two.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
And
Project Cars. The games are so technical.
They're ridiculous. And they do this thing where it's like, we like laser traced the tracks, so they're like
tread and
like everything's like this needlessly.
Cool.
It's like everything's needlessly detailed. It's what Gran Turismo used to feel like, where it really feels like you need to get into the nuts and bolts of your car to like be competitive. It's like it's a step below iRacing, but definitely above Forza.
Sure.
So yeah, I like Project Cars a lot, and it's in VR.
Yeah, that's
always cool.
True.
So I always like that shit. And I got super back into Beat Saber.
Nice.
I haven't played it in like a year, and I put on my Oculus, and it's like I can boot up Beat Saber. I haven't played Beat Saber in ages, and boy, that game's exhausting. And
Gives you a workout.
And Quest has the like 360 mode, so it's like it's all fuck around you and do stuff. So that just adds a different level to it. And yeah, what else? And I feel really bad about it, but you got me that review code for the shooter game, which name I cannot fucking.
Yeah.
It's an old one. I think it was like Dreamcast era. And I'm still playing through it.
Mushi Hime-sama,
yeah.
Nice.
And there's no, I think there's no. Is there a embargo?
No, the embargo's up because it's out.
There you go. Yep. All right.
Yeah, it's out now. I'm still playing through it to give like full thoughts, but I can start talking about it a little bit. It is a bullet hell shooter. It is insect based. All of the villains and stuff are like giant like fantasy bugs, and it.
Yeah. I just remember the PS3 reveal where they're like, you can play in historical Japan and fight giant crabs.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah. It's cool because it's very accessible. It has different like modes out the gate. So it's like if you're not that good at a bullet hell shooter, it does have like a novice mode. It has standard mode, it has like a range mode, and it has like insanity mode.
No thanks. I'm very good at games.
Yeah, I'm what you could call a gamer. So
I'm what you would call.
Yeah. It does as any good shmup game should have. It does let you go into vertical mode, and I do have a flip grip, so that is the way I am playing this game is in vertical Kate mode, as the gamers would like to say. But so yeah, I'm putting that flip grip to use, and it's fucking hard, man. I hate dodging bullets in these things. It's so exhausting. My eyes hurt after like an hour of playing this thing, and it's like, but so
is
far,
the music
so
good?
Yes, yeah. It's definitely it is because when did it? I think it's like a 1999 Japanese arcade game. So it's one of those things where it's like exactly what that era of Japanese arcade music sounds like, and that's where you're at with it, and it's exactly what you need. Sometimes it's a good, so far so good, great palate cleanser. I don't remember ever playing it before, so this is. I knew the name. I've heard the name before, but. It's like that. What was the TurboGrafx 16 classic that they came out with a couple of years ago? Last year before. Every time you don't recognize a name, it's like I've heard this name, but I don't remember what this game is. It's going to be a shmup. If it's from the 90s and its name and it's got like a very Japanese name, it's a shmup. So I just assumed I've heard it before. But that's it. Nothing new. Nothing. I was hoping to get some Ratchet and Clank in, but never fucking did. Never got Ratchet and Clank in at all.
You're busy racing and
Too
throwing
busy
axes,
racing, baby. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Hey, Playland, good to see you, Playland. I will hop in real quick because I was doing the whole garage sale thing, so in between little hits here and there. Went back into new Pokemon Snap and got that game kind of basically complete. Not in love. Pokemon Snap, the first one I never played, and this one is like it's an on-rail shooter, but you're shooting with the camera, it's like it's kind of. I'm done.
Listen, it's a wonderful idea, and everybody wanted it because they remember how they felt when they were 10. Throwing Pokeballs and apples.
I will say. We had some friends over on Friday, and their kids were playing new Pokemon Snap, and I'm outside and I'm hearing the kids upstairs screaming in and they're like 9-year-old and 7-year-old screaming in pure delight at how amazing the game is. Oh my God, this game's, you could take pictures of a Gagnar. You could take pictures. Look what the Pikachu's doing. And I'm thinking, okay, this was not for me. And that's maybe that's why that game was so great when we were 10 years old, but now it's not. It's not.
And you could take it to Blockbuster and print out your pictures, dude. That was so sick.
You can
it's like,
kind of do that, but yeah.
I like.
Okay.
I like that game, but I don't recognize it as being much of a game. I just kind of recognize it as it exists. It's warm and fuzzy. It's cute.
That's all it is.
I have no problem. Just kind of. I had no problem. I'm done with it.
Yep.
Like it's like, once you're done, you're done. It's just like the original Pokemon Snap. Like I can't. I'm done. Like. There's no catching them all. There's no Elite Four. There's no anything. It's like I'm done.
Completely agree.
Are they ever going to bring back Hey You Pikachu? Is that going to be a thing?
Oh, and there you go. Maybe that's the next one they bring back. Who knows?
No, it's got to be that. What was the Pikachu channel or whatever, where it was just like
Pokemon channel thing.
Yeah. Bro.
And that's it. That's all I've been playing. So I was just kind of dicking around with that and playing a little bit more of the Dragon Quest. The Dragon Quest 11.
I know Zach played some Steam demos, but I did download a couple of Steam demos too.
Okay.
Yeah, I figured we'll just. I'll
smut. Yeah.
Yeah, one of them was smut. It was definitely a smut game. You played a puzzle game where you got animated titties. It was.
What's it called? What's it called?
It was called Smut Scrolls. So
even better.
I missed that one.
Smut was
That's the other Todd Howard game in the Elder Scrolls saga.
I don't really dig around on Steam.
Didn't Mojang already get hit for this?
There's lots of lawsuits about it. I don't really spend a lot of time on like the storefront of Steam because like all of my Steam stuff I get from like other stores and just redeem it through Steam. But boy, I did not realize there is actually like Steam went that hard into just straight up pornography now.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
It's great.
It's great.
Super good.
Yeah, so I mean, Taylor, have you been playing anything besides the demos?
I'll do what I have been playing, and then we'll just conjoin into the demos.
Okay, because I've been playing other things too. So besides the demos,
the only thing I really played other than demos was I dipped into the Last Spell, roguelike that came out a couple weeks ago because I wasn't on the show last week. Last Spell's a good game, like I find most roguelike games, but obviously this one's also good. Turn-based. Turn-based. Turn-based tactics game. So your characters have move points, action points, and mana points, and you choose where they go depending on what's required, and then you kind of have waves of invading zombies. There's also some base building that's incorporated with that, as well as typical roguelike stuff, or what has become roguelike gameplay elements, which is you keep certain currencies from playthrough to playthrough to make you stronger over time. Yeah, that's a good game. I need to get back to it. I've been off for a little bit after my little vacation last week. And then I started the other day, started playing Backbone from Raw Fury.
Cool.
From Raw Fury, developed by Eggnut. That's on Game Pass, which is where I'm playing it personally. So that came out on 2 weeks ago. You're a raccoon being a detective. It's a good, very narrative heavy. There's some puzzle solving, but mostly, you're figuring out what happens for you're unraveling a story event.
Have you gotten past like the first 2 hours yet, or
no? I'm in the first 2 hours right now.
Because I heard the first 2 hours is what the Kickstarter like thing that they put out was their demo, and then I heard after that the game like the quality drops pretty far. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I'm getting out of the first kind of main story element, which is getting into this bar location and gathering information, and that's where I'm currently at. I've not specifically read into it, so I haven't developed any preconceived
I was wanting to play. It's been on my wish list forever, and then I looked at the reviews because I saw it was on Game Pass. I'll see what it is, and people are like, it gets kind of like weird after the first two, 3 hours. I was like, okay, this is like a wait and see type of thing.
I also don't mind being weird. I mean, I'm already playing as a raccoon private investigator, so it's like kind of
that's in real life, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're very synonymous. And then I also downloaded because of the more of the Bethesda stuff. So Wolfenstein 2 New Colossus, which I have installed and have not played yet. Because I only purchased the first Wolfenstein remake, or not remake.
Reboot? I don't know.
Reboot. Yeah. I guess reboot is the right word. So I only played Wolfenstein New Order. Is that what it was? Yeah. So I only played New Order, and so I get to go back and play New Colossus. I need something that's like completely mindless. I think New Colossus will pretty much do it for me.
Yeah. It's great. You know what? I got one more game that I was playing before we get into Zach stuff. I picked up Game Builder Garage.
Oh, all right.
And it's
I know nothing about Game Builder Garage, honestly.
It is for those that haven't played it. So it's Nintendo is basically game dev software. It's very simplistic in terms of what you can kind of, I guess, the tool sets they give you. There are some, like, you choose every single color that you want for some of the stuff that they've already created. Like they give you a lot of assets ahead of time, and you can kind of swap the colors and swap what they do here and there. You're sort of limited to the types of games you can actually create. And they guide you like step by step through like these tutorials. Like the first tutorial is a tag game. So it's essentially a Smash Brothers looking type of game where all you do is you kind of you create a game where you run around and you have these like balls dropping from the ceiling. You got to avoid the balls. You got to tag the other player, and that's it. So you can play 2 players. It's kind of interesting. It has so much fucking text. And over like the way it's not a game. You create games, but even the games you create they're not great. Like they're super simple, but there's so much fucking text where it's like, okay, we're gonna make the tag game. You know, there's 6 steps to this. First step is to create the scene. All right, cool. So you click on that first step, and then you're constantly clicking back and forth between the play screen and the kind of back end where you're arranging stuff. And every time you click something, they say, okay, now what we want you to do is move this from here to there and move it off screen. And you move it off screen. Great job. And then it goes around. Everybody, all the little characters, the note on tell you, great job. Great job. You did this. Let's try that now with the B button. And you do the B button. Great job. Now let's try it with the left and right movement. Left and right. Great job. Now let's try. It's just so much fucking text. Where it's it's Nintendo's Little Big Planet type of thing. It's limited in what you can create in the end, even from like a shooter standpoint, and they don't want you sharing it with, like, you know, you have to find the code from someone to get it. There's no like online marketplace.
Really? From Nintendo?
From Nintendo. Nintendo has no way.
Believe that.
But you can follow like creators. You can like download stuff from creators, but
explain to me the process of following a creator right now.
There you can't actually follow one. You input their code, like a friend code, and it says, would you like to browse through their games? Yes, you click on a game.
Yeah, this sounds right.
Download this game, and it says, would you like to look through more of their games or back out completely?
You bet I do.
That's it.
So
I played
have you played anything that felt like you couldn't make it?
No, I felt like I could make everything. What's interesting though is what people are already doing with the tool set. Like somebody made a Sonic 3D adventure like knockoff, which was bizarre because you're like, oh shit, this is the Green Hill Zone from that first Sonic 3D Adventure game. And yes, holy shit, it does still play absolutely like ass, like that first Sonic 3D game. So they did a fairly good job, but it's a lot of folks who aren't game developers trying to create stuff. Now, to Nintendo's point, what I think they're trying to do and why they just kind of pushed this game out there was to get people interested in developing stuff for Switch. Like they did that with like a couple of years ago, they said, hey, we're going to have this sort of external pitch process where if you have a cool idea for a Nintendo Switch game for a product, come to us and we'll help fund it. And you actually got Labo kind of out of that. You got the Mario Kart came out of that, and a couple other things have come out of that. And I think this is like their next step to say, we want the next generation of developers to really start to understand.
To give us content.
To give us content.
Yeah. I agree.
I have to feel like there was a Labo game. I have to feel like there's a Labo game that was supposed to be associated with it, but they've killed Labo off.
Yeah, and this is the Labo design elements like to a T, because the Labo games you could actually like Labo Garage, you can create stuff. So
does it feel like it gives you anything that you could actually translate to another type of design language in any way?
Understanding, not like development skill sets, but just like understanding that there's cause and react to, like, this is clearly aimed at kids. It's to get them to understand that there's if and or but type of ideas.
It's one of those things where I just want to know if this is like the version of like engineering where you buy kids those little like kits where you can like plug wires
that's exactly
create a radio.
Exactly it. Yep.
But listen, when you actually go into engineering, this stuff's not going to be anything to you. Yep. But you're at least going to understand the core concept of what you're trying to accomplish.
Cause and effect. That's really all this is cause and effect. And so anyways, Game Builder Garage. Zach, talk to us, baby.
Man, I've been gaming.
We're at an hour and 20 minutes. Hour and 20 minutes.
So let's see. The first game I've been playing a lot of is called Wildermuth, which is something most people probably haven't heard of. I didn't hear of it until like this week. I was just scrolling through Steam, scrolling through the store. I saw this game called Wildermuth, which is like a computer RPG, like a top-down grid-based fantasy game. But the hook of it is it's a kind of like a natural storytelling game. So like you create your own characters, and then the game creates a story and generates predetermined things for you to play through, and your characters evolve and grow into they get older, they have kids, and then you play the next generation of heroes. You keep doing that over and over again through all these campaigns, which is super cool, and it feels pretty natural. The storytelling works well. It's written well, and it's just really cool to play a RPG that embraces its story mechanic and its systems at the same time. Like, for example, if two characters are in love, they'll get a added bonus of attack if they see their loved one hit. So like for example, like my main guy is a tank and his girlfriend's a ranger. So when he's tanking, she sees him get hit, then she will use her bow and arrow and do like two times the amount of hit points, which is like fun, right? And then characters will also turn into like rivals, and you just eventually your characters will get look at ideas like, hey, I want to do this, and you can choose to explore it, but there's this huge like overwhelming like threat coming, and you have to clear the board. You have to go protect these cities and stuff, just like what they just showed. So you're up against the clock, and you want to develop your characters. You want to develop their story, and it's really fun. The art style isn't the best. Like it looks but it's fine. It's fun to play, and the stories are cool. And it was made by two people. It's like it's just made by a husband and wife team, and his wife does all the art, and the husband writes and does everything else. It's really fun to play. The combat is pretty deep, and you get to develop your characters. Like they start out as like a warrior, magician, and an archer, and you can eventually get other traits to go into other like systems. Like there's this magic system where you can possess items, and the items that you possess have certain qualities to them. So like, I possessed a vine, so I can grapple with this character, or I can teleport through trees, or I can become a bear. Like it's really, really cool, and there's a lot of content. It's only like $20, so if you're into that sort of thing, get it.
Wilder.
And then I've been playing Shin Megami Tensei 3, which is
Nocturne HD.
Nocturne, yeah. That game is it's such a good game. It's like the thing that's
what else?
Tell us.
The thing that's so neat about it is it's such like I hate to use this word.
Is it what it says to you every day to make you feel better? Is that what it is? No, not just making you feel good.
It's like, dude, it's like a punk rock JRPG, right? It's like it goes against all the systems that you'd expect in like the JRPG genre. Like it's like so against the grain. It's so like it's its own thing, and it's really fun to. I mean, it's fun to play. It's hard as shit. You have to know how the systems work in and out to actually advance in that game, which I super like. And the story is really, really cool. It's really dark. It's not like happy. It's kind of like, hey, the world ended, and you're just a part of this selection of people who didn't die, and now you're basically possessed by the devil, and it's up to you to decide the future of the earth. And it's like, oh, cool. I'm just 15 years old. And like, and it's just cool. Like, and you have these tech companies who were part of this whole idea to reset the earth. There's all these tech companies who have been controlling people and creating cults and stuff and summoning demons into our world to control people. Yeah. And so it's like, whoa, dude, these tech companies are controlling people's brains. Well, that's crazy. But yeah. So, and as the main character, you kind of have this like, who do I trust? Like, who do I follow? The lawful side, the evil side, the strict side. There's a bunch of different ways you can play the game, which is fun. It's cool. It's also a game that it's hard to talk about because it's really weird. It's there's also a lot of systems that go into like hiring demons and fusing them and creating a demon that has this skill that you can use against this boss. And if you don't have that skill, you're going to get killed in one hit, blah 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 type of thing. So but it's very against the JRPG like grain. Like it's because like compared to like Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy, it's not like those games are happy at the end of the day. Those games are happy and fun. Like you kind of like a wrapped up story. Shin Megami Tensei is like, nah, like this is just dark, and you're gonna you're gonna experience depression.
They don't really, they don't. All of the Tensei games really are kind of a buzzkill.
Well, like and also like in Japanese culture, like they don't really talk about this sort of stuff about like even for like the reason why the Persona games are so popular is because they talk about things that Japanese culture doesn't talk about, like sexuality, like being bullied in school, like teachers being weird, like things like that. Like the Persona games address things that Japanese culture just like ignores. And so, and Shin Megami Tensei in general is just all about that like spirituality stuff that they also ignore too. So.
It is in Europe. The game is called Lucifer's Call, which is a cool ass name.
Lucifer's Call, kind of badass.
Yeah.
I
So
don't,
yeah,
I don't think it is now. It was in PS2 era. It was. That's what it's called.
I listen to a lot of like podcasts by people who live in Japan, and just hearing about the culture and stuff and how different things are, and then playing these games and having knowledge of them. Like Persona 4, for example, character Kanji, he's a really tough dude, but on the inside, he's just like a really soft guy who wants to like knit, and like that's not how men are supposed to be over there. Like eating like sweets in Japan is seen as a feminine trait. Like that's like, and it's just these games address things that their culture doesn't address, which is super cool, and not to be ignored. And then I said I played another game. I'm trying to think of what it was. Oh yeah, it's a game. So it's a game I'm reviewing, but I'm not supposed to talk about. But I'll talk about it by talking about the other games in the series. So
there we go.
The Disgaea series is very interesting, and they're labeled as strategy RPGs, right? But there's no strategy involved in playing these games.
The strategy of Disgaea is ignore what you were supposed to be doing. Instead, spend a shit ton of time doing a bunch of weird shit, which will make you incredibly powerful and inevitably make the rest of the content inconsequential.
Pretty much overpower yourself in every Disgaea game in like the first half hour of gameplay.
The strategy and the strategy RPG is how to get as OP as quick as you can. That's kind of the older games have this thing where they make you grind these levels out. Like you can grind for like 700 100 hours. So finally, because at the end of Disgaea, you unlock different chapters that are like the actual game. And there's a boss in there. His name's Ball. He's hard. He's like super crazy, and you need to min-max the shit out of your characters to even like fight him. And to do that, you would have to grind at hundreds of hours maybe. But I would hope a future title in this series would add a auto battle mode that would make it a lot easier to progress through the series. So I'm just really excited to see what Disgaea 6 has to offer when it comes out.
Whenever it comes out, yeah.
It's too good.
Leyland's trying to figure it out.
Okay, so now we got to talk about all these demos.
Hit those demos.
So I'm just gonna say you can tell what demos are gonna be good if they have a publisher attached to them. If there's no publisher attached, you're like, this is a toss up right here. Am I gonna get something good? Most of the time, it's bad.
We are reaching kind of that precipice where the vast majority of independent game makers, if they are very good, are going to have a pub attached to them. And if they don't, they're probably not coming to Steam. They're probably going to get filtered through itch, and they're going to break out from there. A lot of the stuff that's coming on Steam without a pub is probably really rough. And that's Deck, we'll go through the list, but I mean it's not a really hard endeavor to look through the majority of the demos that are out there and be like, this is going to be good. This is not. This isn't.
Yeah, I'm the type of guy that sees a game and like, you know what, I'm going to try it. It's free. So I've been playing a bunch of just weird shit. There's this game. Let me see. I forgot what it's called because it's
I pulled up my entire library list so that I could go through this.
Go through it.
Let me see. There's this game. Hold on. It's called Grapple Hoops, which is it's like a parkour game.
Two things I love.
It's a parkour game with a grappling hook and a basketball, and your goal is to get the basketball onto the goal, but you have to like parkour and use your hook to like fly around and dodge bullets, kind of like Super Hot, but with the basketball. And it's really janky, but it's kind of fun. So I'm excited to see what that does when it comes out. Then there's this weird Japanese game that Taylor and I played.
Oh yeah, I actually don't have this one on my list because I already installed it.
Dude,
they're demos and they're only through like this week. So
yeah.
Is
I'm
it
just gonna
Japanese?
focus on the title is in Japanese.
I just saw that it was kanji. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it was weird. That's really all I have to all I have to say. But I'm just gonna focus on the games that are actually good, which is like 20 of them maybe. But I think the most impressive game I played is a game called where is it?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah.
Dodgeball Academia. I think it's my favorite game, dude. That's
one of the couple I've downloaded.
Get ready for Dodgeball Academia. That one's gonna be a real one.
Dodgeball Academia is gonna be huge. It has all the stylings of every like popular thing you could think of, but it twisted in such a way where it's like, oh, this is anime, but it's also kind of like Western cartoon, and it's kind of Japanese, but it's kind of not. It has this cool style. It's really, and the characters are fun. It's cute. There's these RPG systems, but the main mechanic is you play dodgeball. Like that's like what you do, and you grab a ball and you throw it at someone. It sounds boring, but it's fun because your characters have magical abilities attached to them, and each character has there's this big guy with the big head and he throws balls really slow, but you can use that to like stun block a character and switch to another character and charge up a hit and throw like a fireball, and you're building up ultimates too during this whole thing. And certain fights are like puzzles. There's characters. There's like some fights are like, okay, they have their two dudes in the front and they just grab the balls and throw them in the back, and then they charge their shit and throw it at you, and you have to like adapt around that. And it's just a really cool combat system. It's like an action combat system. I'm really excited.
Writing is good, enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm really excited to play it. Like I would play it right now if someone gave it to me. I'd be like, yeah. Totally. It's sick, dude.
Published by Humble Games, for the record.
Yeah. And it's going to be on consoles, so it's going to be on everything. And the coolest thing is it walks this line of being like too cartoony, but not cartoony. It's like, oh, like these are real characters, but also there's a dodgeball that is stuck in perpetuity in front of the school that's charging the school's electricity grid that was thrown by God. Like, that's cool, right? Like, it's like awesome. It's like there's this lore here that you want to explore. I really love it. I think Chris Tales might be my second favorite game I played. I don't know if you played this, Taylor.
I didn't play Chris Tales.
So Chris Tales is a JRPG. Well, it's not a JRPG, but it's styled like that, and it takes place in 3 timelines at the same time. So it takes place in the past, present, and the future at the same time. So you're walking around a city, and you see it in the past, present, and the future. And your character in the present is able to make changes that will affect the future, but you have a frog, little yellow frog guy that can jump into the different timelines and change things to, like, oh, like there's this lady who makes medicine, and she used the wrong potion at one point, so her store gets shut down. You can go back in time and save it, but it has a different effect. Like, oh, this person's house gets shut down because the apothecary got too big and she needed to buy more land, blah blah blah. So you see these like effects happen in real time, which is really fun, but they stay and they affect the story, which is cool. So in combat, what's awesome about it is you also can affect time. You can like, the best example is the first boss you fight is a big lady with shields, and you can't damage her, but the way you do is you get her armor wet and then you send her into the future and it rusts her armor. That's super cool. And you have a mage who can plant plants who can do like dots. So it's like, oh, this is a poison dot. I'm gonna put it in the present and shoot it into the future and grow it, and it explodes. And he can send things into the past and make things smaller, or make things like weaker, or like degrow a plant. So it's like a lot of cool possibilities in combat and story. And I love when a gameplay mechanic is enhanced by the story. When they're like go hand in hand, is super cool. So I'm really excited to see where that game goes, because there's going to be a bunch of other magic types and characters that you get. You can move back and forth in time. So I'm very excited about that. It comes out soon. I think next month.
It was
the
in
end of next month.
July 20th.
Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, it's gorgeous too. Like, cool. Yeah, that kind of, and it also has a paper Mario type of vibe where you have to like press the button right when things hit. So it's like, oh, you hit a character, you press A, you do more crit, or you get hit, you press A, you deflect damage. So I think, and it's going to be on every console too. So I think that's going to be pretty a pretty big hit for Modus Games. I think
Modus is the publisher.
Yep, pretty cool game. I'm excited for that. And then Death Trash. Did you touch this game, Taylor?
I didn't. Death Trash was the one that I didn't get to.
Dude, Death Trash is sick, dude. That game.
You posted the screenshots as you were playing it, and it's like, I gotta play Death Trash. This looks good. I want to try this one.
There's a moment in the game where you start the game up and you're in this this facility with all these robots there, and they're like, you've been deemed like you're not welcome in society. You need to like go through training to go back into society. And you can, so it's basically like go into the tutorials, kind of like the way it's phrased, which is cool. It's like fun. So you go into the tutorial and eventually you veer off the path, and the whole world is basically this like world ran over by technology, but it's not like advanced technology. It's like old kind of like just big grungy looking mech things, and like just, but the way technology is used and the way it runs is off of humans. Like human sacrifice is the way these things are built, or human lubricant as what it's called. There's a point in the dungeon where it's like, I need to open this door, but I need human lubricant. What do I do? And you throw up and you use your puke to lubricate the door. And the game gives you a dedicated puke button, which I think is very interesting. It's like, oh, okay, this is going to be something that comes up later on, and it's a top-down action RPG. It's kind of like Fallout or Wasteland, but it's like a twin stick shooter. Yeah, and it has this aesthetic, this world that's so interesting, so cool. The writing's really good. It's really snappy. There's a part where you meet this like Kraken. It's called the Flesh Kraken. He's just sitting there, and you're like, "Why are you here?" He's like, "I just want to make friends." Like, and you're like, "Okay, do you want me to bring you more friends?" He's like, "Yeah." And then you're like, "Okay, I gotta go find him some friends." And you don't know what this like eldritch horror wants. Like, does he want friends, or does he want to like eat people? Because he's sitting in a pool of blood. But
he's sitting in a pool of blood, and the first conversation that you have with him is like, "Hey, what do you do?" And he's like, "Eat."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Why? What do you eat?" He's like, "Living."
Yeah, dude.
And you're like, okay. And then you ask him if you want to be friends and what you should do. And he's like, "Yeah, bring me more friends."
Yeah. And then you leave that temple, and it's like, there's this naked guy. He's like an old dude, and he's like, you're like, "Why are you naked?" He's like, "Cause I'm free." And you're like, okay. But then I killed him just to see what happened. Nothing happened, which is cool. It wasn't like oh, killed this guy. Oh my God. I was like, yeah, he's dead. Yeah. So I really want to dig into that world and like see what it is, because it's really messed up. It's nasty. It's not a happy game, but it is happy because it's funny. But it's like a dark humor. Yeah. And yeah, it just has this weird thing.
It just looks good.
Yeah,
it looks sick. It does this cool thing that Shin Megami Tensei does, where it marries like spirituality and tech in a really cool way, and like magic, which is always so cool. It's always cool to see what people do with that. And then I guess Sable is my like other favorite game, which Taylor played too.
I did.
Sable, have you seen this game? Either of you?
no.
So Sable was
I've
first.
seen the info on it.
Sable was first announced at E3 2018. I want to say.
Yeah.
Then
been
yes, then I probably
forever.
have. Yeah.
It looks like a Mobius painting, is what it looks like, but it's in the game. You're on like a motorbike on the sand, going over exploring stuff. That's all I thought the game was. I was like, oh, you get to explore Mobius aesthetic looking like deserts, cool. I'm in. But the game is more about this like girl named Sable who is like her culture is a nomad culture, and they go out and they get on bikes and they explore for a certain amount of time, and then they come back and they dedicate their lives to their clan. And I'm assuming it's going to be a story of like, oh, I don't want to settle, but then she learns to appreciate her culture type of story is what I'm expecting it to be. But but the game is, I think the game is going to do a good job of selling that point of wandering around, exploring things. But I think the big thing with the game is it's just gorgeous. It's fun. And
the aesthetic
it's also,
is killer.
Yeah. It's also an open world game that's come out after Breath of the Wild, which is hard to be an open world game that's come out post Zelda, but it has the things I think people like about Breath of the Wild, at least what I like most about it, like the chill feeling of walking around, exploring things, climbing stuff, and just I guess the small amount of like HUD and information that a game has, I think, is pretty important too. It's just I think Zelda drove that home, was like, hey, people don't need a HUD thrown into their face constantly to like have fun. And Sable definitely has that like minimal look, just like, hey, place your own points, go there, explore. But yeah, it's technically kind of messy still, which I hope it gets fixed up before it comes out. But I had a blast just like walking around, taking pictures and stuff. So that's just me though.
That's another Raw Fury game, by the way, from publisher side.
Mm-hmm.
Shedworks is the dev on that one.
It's just one dude.
I thought it was two.
Might be two then. If it's two, it's two. I don't know. But
not particularly relevant. But.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. My expectations were met, like, because my expectations were, hey, Mobius game, cool.
Yeah.
So, but then I actually like the writing a lot. It's written in first person, so the main character doesn't really say anything. You just kind of get to hear her inner monologue, but you can assess what she's like said, because you can also pick what she says. So it's like, but yeah, it's cool to read like a first person type of like thing, which is different for a game. I can't really think of anything that's done that. Yeah, and hopefully when it comes out, it can. I just want the story to be something more than what I'm expecting it to be.
Yeah.
There's something else I wanted to say about it, but I'm trying to get it out. It's like stuck.
I don't know.
You can really see the gears turning though.
Oh yeah, the music is done by Japanese Breakfast, which is gorgeous music.
Okay.
Oh,
So
They do. It's like a perfect ambience accompaniment to a travel discovery game. That's the way I'll put it.
Oh, this is what I was actually going to say.
We got there. We stalled.
So in open world games, I'm that person that doesn't use vehicles ever. Like, I just walk on foot. Like, I played The Witcher 3 without my horse, straight up, just like walked.
How many times did you use the vehicles in like Death Stranding? Never.
I was about to say Death Stranding is the first game where I actually use vehicles because the story and the gameplay were like, hey, like, this is gonna help, and it made sense to me to do it because it's like, okay, cool, yeah, it makes sense. But most of the time, actually, in Death Stranding, I use the carry legs, like the heavy burden legs or whatever. I use those the most and just walked everywhere because it was also fun to walk because you could create paths for people and like help people. Yeah. So But this game, you're forced to have your motorcycle, and I don't know if I like that yet. So I'm curious to see how my opinion of the game forms, because it's like you can use a motorcycle and you have to
I think it'll adjust a little bit.
Yeah. If it's like Days Gone, where they make you like, hey, you need your motorcycle or you're gonna die, like cool. Like just give me a reason to have to use it and I will. But in The Witcher 3, it's like, hey, here's a horse so you can go around faster. Like, no, I'm just gonna walk. Like like, hey, here's a car in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Do you want it? No, I'm just gonna walk. Like whatever.
Well, I don't want to extend this out too much, but I just want to throw in two more other demos that were of note for me. Terra Nil was demoed really well. Both Zach and I were into the aesthetic of that one. That's a Devolver game. I think that was on the stage during their press conference, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Developer Free Lives. That one's going to be good, very good. There is a scoring mechanism to the game, which definitely increases difficulty, or probably is going to increase longevity on that game. But that's a quality demo, 100% recommend, easy. And then the other one that I played was Toem. I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced. Toem is black and white picture taking adventure game.
Better than Pokemon Snap.
I mean, I think so, yes, because it's actually interesting. Yeah, I mean, it actually in many ways is very similar to Pokemon, because you wake up in your parents' house or your grandma's house, and it's like, all right, it's time to go on your adventure now. Here's your camera, and instead of catching Pokemon, you have to take pictures of interesting stuff and help people. So you travel to different locales, but in order to get a free bus pass, you have to do favors to people in the towns to get stamps. And then you trade those stamps to be like, hey, you go to the bus person who's like, yo, you got your stamps to get a free bus pass? And you're like, yeah, check out my stamp pass. And they're like, all right, sweet, get the fuck out of here. And then you go. So there's a level of puzzle solving, because it's like you talk to a person, you know that they want something from you, and you have to figure out what you have to take a picture of, how you're going to get it, et cetera, et cetera. And then you also can keep a catalog of different animals that you take pictures of, and stuff like that. That one's going to be 100%. Again, I think a quality purchase. It looks really smooth. It's like I said, it's all black and white, in a kind of 3/4 camera angle, but you can do full rotation on it. And it just looks really good. That one's from Something We Made, which I don't think has any pedigree. Like, I don't think that they've done anything before this. But that one's coming supposedly 2021 is listed as the release date. No month or anything like that. But yeah, check out those demos. Again, all these demos are part of the Steam
Next Fest.
Steam Next Fest, which I think all the demos are available until June 22nd.
So you got till Tuesday.
June 22nd at 10 a.m. PDT is when the demos go away, which, by the way, is a really fucking bizarre thing to do. Why do you make them go away?
They need to save that bandwidth, baby.
That's actually, I guess, you know what? I guess that is legitimate. I don't know. I would say make it a race to the top. The top 50 demos stay on.
I played a demo on there called Palm Trip, which is just an outrun game.
Gigi, what do you do? I wish that I had your level of time and sense of adventure. You were living in a different world from me, dude.
What? It's a 30-second racing game. It's not like it's.
Oh, listen, if you say so.
I will say so if you're interested about the Steam demos, if you go on they have a dedicated page. Yeah. They have a thing at the bottom. It's like most downloaded. Yeah. Just check out that and just download the ones that you think look cool.
Wow, this has changed a lot since I last looked
Yeah,
at
it has. There's lawn mowing simulator number 2. So
it. Yeah, that was not there before. My time at Sandrock makes sense because that's I'm assuming related to my time at Porsche.
yeah, it's a sequel.
So I'm not surprised.
Hopefully they
about that
pay
one.
their voice actors.
Oh,
this time.
Was that
They
a
didn't
thing?
pay him
on...
the first time, no. So
Yikes! Oh no. Anyway.
Whoopies.
Oops. Well, that's it.
Nice.
Steam Next
That was
Fest.
it.
Check it out. Good
Yeah,
selection.
Dally, you playing any Steam Next Fest games?
Not yet. I've been guard
yet?
sailing. I told you. Maybe tomorrow. I think tomorrow will be my Steam Next Fest day.
All right, I'll hold you
Just
to it.
play
Hold
if
you
you're
to it.
gonna if you're going to at least play one, at least play Dodgeball Academia. I think
Okay.
that game is
Dodgeball
just
Academia.
that game is special. It's something. So
It
go
just
ahead and
has
play it.
like
right now. So I'm.
You play it. It's just like there's actually something there.
Yeah.
And the way I felt the same way about that I did about Golf Story, which was one of the first Switch games that were Switch indies that were really out there. They don't play similarly at all, but it's just like it just has character and personality to it that's very endearing.
I remember another game that's actually really cool. It's called Kataria Fables. It's like a Rune Factory Harvest Moon game. If you know me, you know how much I love farming. You should take my recommendation. Farming. Oops, I hit the mic.
He just doesn't shut up about farming in the Discord. It's just nonstop farm talk.
Kataria Fables. You play as a cat and you attack stuff and grow. Everyone's an animal. It's really cute. It feels like Rune Factory. It's fun. So check that one out.
Clicking on download for a bunch of the ones you guys are talking about. So
Smutty Scrolls, right? You've already got
Smutty Scrolls.
Yeah, definitely.
Gents.
2 hours, baby.
2 hours.
Let's go.
Thank you for that 1 hour show.
Anytime you say it's going to be an hour-long show, anytime you say it's going to be an hour, it's always.
He didn't say that before I joined. That's the key.
No.
The post E3 show was going to be 60 minutes, huh?
Bold
thinking. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful Friday night. I'm clicking away at Steam Next Fest.
Friday night, huh?
See?
Friday night.
Yeah.
It's Sunday, bro.
Friday night, and then we had to do some editing and some touch-ups, and now it's releasing on Sunday, JJ.
Feels like Sunday. Anyways, gentlemen, thanks so much. You can find us at sidequesting.com. See, look at the names there. At Tali Domofsky, at @the_double_J, at Taylor Bliss, at you don't do it. It should be okay quest.
Combo
break. If you look at ZachQuest on Twitter, I'll pop up. So
he'll pop up there.
Supposedly.
Maybe
follow us, rate and review us individually. That's what's important.
Yeah.
Check out Disney Compendium. That's JJ's. Yeah. Check out Taylor streaming in the Discord. It's always fun.
Yeah.
Last time he did it was with Nier.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Gotta get
it's
next
a sad
one.
game, dude.
Hop on sidequesting.com. We'll see you all in the next episode of The Side Quest. Bye.
Bye.